Welcome to our deep dive into clinical drug development success rates and the factors that shape them. Over the past decade, the journey from early clinical trials to regulatory approval has been filled with both breakthroughs and challenges. In this video, we'll explore the latest data, highlight key trends, and explain what drives a drug's chances of making it to market. Whether you're in the biotech industry, an investor, or simply curious about how new medicines come to life, this series will provide a comprehensive overview of the clinical development landscape from 2011 to 2020. Study is a collaboration between Informa Pharma Intelligence and QLS Advisors. Bio represents a vast network of biotech companies and institutions, while Informa's Biomed Tracker provides real-time tracking of drug development and regulatory milestones. QLS Advisors brings advanced analytics and machine learning to the table, helping to predict the likelihood of drug approval. Together, these organizations have analyzed nearly 13,000 clinical and regulatory phase transitions from almost 10,000 development programs, offering an unprecedented look at the factors influencing success in drug development. Analysis covers clinical drug development from January 2011 to November 2020, focusing on phase transitions, when a drug moves from one stage to the next or is suspended. Only company-sponsored, FDA registration-enabling programs were included, ensuring the data reflects real-world industry efforts. The study segments success by disease area, drug modality, and novelty, and applies machine learning to uncover predictive factors. This approach allows for both historical benchmarking and forward-looking risk assessments, providing valuable insights for stakeholders across the biopharma ecosystem. Let's start with the big picture. The overall likelihood of approval (LOA) for a drug entering phase I was just 7.9% over the past decade. This means that fewer than 1 in 13 drug candidates make it from early trials all the way to FDA approval. The highest hurdle is phase II, where only 28.9% of candidates advance. Phase I and III have higher success rates at 52% and 57.8% respectively, while the final regulatory approval phase boasts a 90.6% success rate. These numbers highlight the immense challenge and risk inherent in drug development. Success rates vary dramatically by disease area. Hematology leads with a 23.9% LOA from phase I, while urology lags at just 3.6%. Other high performers include metabolic and infectious disease therapies, both above 13%. Oncology, despite being the largest segment, has a modest 5.3% LOA. These differences reflect the unique scientific and clinical challenges of each field, as well as the impact of patient populations, disease biology, and available treatment options. Phase I is primarily about safety, and success rates here are relatively high. On average, 52% of candidates move from phase I to phase II. Ophthalmology and hematology stand out with transition rates above 69%, while urology is at the lower end with just 40.9%. These early results set the stage for later development, but many challenges still lie ahead as drugs move into efficacy-focused trials. Phase II is where most drug candidates stumble. Here, proof of concept is tested in patients, and only 28.9% of programs advance. Hematology and metabolic diseases perform best, with nearly half of candidates moving forward. In contrast, urology and cardiovascular therapies see the lowest success, reflecting the complexity and risk of demonstrating efficacy in these areas. This phase is also where commercial and strategic decisions often lead to program suspensions. Those drugs that make it to phase III, the odds improve. The average success rate here is 57.8%, with hematology again leading at 76.8%. Urology, despite earlier challenges, sees a high phase III success rate, though based on a small sample. The final step, regulatory approval, has the highest success rate at 90.6%, reflecting the rigorous selection and vetting that occurs in earlier phases. Still, only a small fraction of initial candidates reach this point. Oncology dominates the industry in terms of the number of development programs, but its success rates are among the lowest. Only 5.3% of oncology drugs entering phase I reach approval, compared to 9.3% for non-oncology indications. However, within oncology, immuno-oncology therapies have shown promise, with a 12.4% LOA. These differences highlight the scientific complexity and competitive landscape of cancer drug development. Rare disease therapies have a much higher chance of success, with a 17% LOA from phase I, nearly triple that of chronic high-prevalence diseases at 5.9%. This is partly due to clearer disease mechanisms, regulatory incentives, and smaller, more targeted patient populations. In contrast, chronic diseases face tougher competition, larger trials, and more complex endpoints, all of which contribute to lower success rate. Novel drugs, including new molecular entities and biologics, face tougher odds than off-patent products. The LOA for novel therapies is just 6.8%, while off-patent therapies achieve 14.7%. Among novel modalities, CAR-T and RNA interference therapies stand out, with LOAs of 17.3% and 13.5% respectively. These advanced biologics benefit from targeted mechanisms and regulatory support, but their complexity also brings unique challenges. Personalized medicine is on the rise, and the use of patient preselection biomarkers has a significant impact on success. Programs using biomarkers have a twofold higher LOA, 59% compared to 7.6% for those without. The advantage is most pronounced in phase II, where nearly half of biomarker-driven programs advance, underscoring the value of targeted trial design and patient selection. Improve forecasting. Machine learning models now analyze over 200 features per drug program, including drug type, indication, sponsor, and trial design. These models, such as random forest classifiers, can identify subtle patterns and provide more accurate, timely predictions than historical averages alone. This approach helps companies and investors make better decisions about which programs to advance. Not all factors are created equal when it comes to predicting clinical success. The most influential features include disease indication, drug target modality, and novelty. For example, a breakthrough therapy designation or prior approval for another indication can significantly boost a drug's probability of success. Machine learning models can decompose these probabilities, showing exactly which factors drive higher or lower chances of approval. Let's look at a real-world example. For an oncology drug in phase III, a breakthrough therapy designation can increase its probability of approval by over 20%. Positive phase II results, being a PARP inhibitor, and prior approval for another indication also add to the likelihood. However, treating a solid tumor type may slightly reduce the probability. This breakdown helps stakeholders understand the specific drivers behind each forecast. Across all predictions, the most important variables are the disease indication, lead indication status, prior approval for another use, biological target validation, and trial outcomes. For instance, drugs with positive trial outcomes or those sponsored by experienced companies have higher chances of success. The use of patient preselection biomarkers and advanced modalities like monoclonal antibodies also play a significant role. Journey from phase I to regulatory approval is long. On average, it takes 10.5 years. This includes 2.3 years in phase I, 3.6 years in phase II, 3.3 years in phase II, and 1.3 years at the regulatory stage. Disease areas with higher LOAs like allergy and metabolic tend to have shorter timelines, while urology and cardiovascular drugs face the longest development periods, often exceeding 11 years. Breaking it down further, allergy therapies progress the fastest, averaging just over 9 years from phase I to approval. Metabolic and infectious disease drugs also move relatively quickly. In contrast, neurology, cardiovascular, and urology programs take the longest, reflecting the complexity of these conditions and the challenges of clinical trial design and patient recruitment. phase II is the main bottleneck in drug development, with only 28.9% of programs advancing. This phase tests proof of concept and often determines whether a drug will move forward or be suspended. The challenge is especially acute for novel therapies, which face higher scientific and commercial risks. Success here is a strong indicator of a program's potential. Increasing chemical and biological complexity often correlates with higher success rates. Biologics, monoclonal antibodies, and advanced modalities like CAR-T and RNA outperform traditional small molecules. However, small molecules still make up the majority of development programs, keeping the overall industry low below 10%. The future may see further gains as advanced therapies mature. Data in this study comes from Biometrica and Informa Pharma, which track clinical development and regulatory milestones in near real time. Only company-sponsored FDA-focused programs are included, ensuring relevance and accuracy. Machine learning models are trained on large, curated datasets, using advanced imputation methods to handle missing data and improve prediction quality. Machine learning approach uses random forest classifiers, which aggregate predictions from many decision trees. This ensemble method captures complex patterns in the data, allowing for more accurate and nuanced forecasts. By continuously updating with new data and scientific advances, these models become more powerful over time, supporting better decision-making across the industry. In summary, clinical drug development remains a high-risk, high-reward endeavor. Success rates are low, timelines are long, and the challenges are significant. However, advances in predictive analytics, personalized medicine, and innovative modalities are improving the odds. As the industry continues to evolve, data-driven decision-making will be key to bringing new therapies to patients faster and more efficiently. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of clinical development success rates and contributing factors.